Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa, and today is a Truth Tuesday. So Sean is joining me. We'll do the first half on this channel, and then we'll jump over and do the second half over on his channel. So make sure you watch both. There's links in the description for all of that. And then later tonight, I will be on Jean-Claude's channel called Beyond Mystic 3, and with JSnip4, or you guys know him as Snippy. We'll be talking about cryptos and what's going on in the market. But I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about, I've been doing some research and ran across a really interesting story and was introduced to a very interesting person. And I just lost feed on one of my platforms. So I've got to fix that. I'll be right back right after this. Hey there. How's it going?
Going good. How are you doing?
Going well. I just lost
Buddy in the chat. Good to see y'all.
that one. Maybe I can.
Yeah, I heard you. You said you lost your feed.
Well, only on one of the platforms, but I think, I don't know. We'll try it. I don't know. We'll try this other one and see if it'll pop up. I don't know. Things are strange. We watched, what is it called? That movie with Julia Roberts. And I don't know if you've watched it yet. What is it
New
called?
movie?
It's like Leave Now or Leave Them Alone or Leave the Land, or yeah, it's a new movie. And basically, like, they live in New York and they're like getting out of town, and then they so David Morgan was just talking about it on who was he on with? Maybe Jean-Claude. I think he was on with Jean-Claude. And he talked, and it's the guy who wrote the same script for Mr. Robot, or wrote the movie for Mr. Robot. But he wrote this movie, and it's like this little family, and they go do like an Airbnb, and then they call it a blackout, but they have power the whole time. There's just no internet, no Wi-Fi, no phone.
Oh, the weird movie. Yeah.
Did you see the preview for that?
Was that how they rented an Airbnb, and it was owned by a black guy and his daughter, and they came to the door?
Yeah. And then they come to the door because he's like some kind of financial guy or something.
And Julia Roberts is in it. Yeah.
Yeah, and he comes home, but he couldn't make it back into the city for something. They had gone to some event that evening, and then he couldn't make it back into the city for something, and so they were just going to stay at their, like, not quite the Hamptons, kind of out in the woods by the, lake house. Leave the world behind. Thank you, Jim Montgomery. But it's interesting because you know how there's all this 10 days of darkness, all this. It made me wonder, okay, could it be that kind of a blackout where we still have power and, electricity, gas, all that kind of water functioning stuff, but could it be a Wi-Fi, internet, phone service blackout? Because even like their satellite service didn't work. Ukraine reported a cyber attack today, and then they were supposedly grounding planes and trains in UK and Australia earlier today, and so it's kind of strange. I know there was another one of those solar burst things a few days ago that are anticipated to kind of hit us any few days, and I was just watching Soul Read over on JC's channel, and they were having all kinds of trouble connecting, but she's in Australia, so I don't know if it's
wasn't the big solar flare supposed to happen like the end of last month?
It did. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't.
And we had multiple times where like we had no Wi-Fi or internet for like an hour here, an hour there. Usually it was at night or in the evenings, but
I hate that because they always work on stuff like in the middle of the night when I'm up. Using, the internet.
They're thinking most people are asleep.
Most people are asleep. I was calling them like, yeah, we're fixing it. I'm like, That is normal. Fine.
Yeah, they're trying not to disrupt business.
Zelensky's doing the rounds again to get more money.
Begging or demanding money from
Well,
everyone.
I thought about it because he demands, and he's kind of a dick.
Mm.
And it didn't make sense to me that he would be such an outright dick, but he still gets the money. And I saw something on this. He's been doing bad stuff for all these different governments for a long time.
Hmm.
So he has dirt. It's
Ah.
literally like the Epstein, but it's of like usual, nefarious stuff, money laundering and all that kind of crap. So he knows a lot of bad stuff that people have done in power. That's the only reason I could think that he is so bold.
It's kind of what I thought when they were kicking George Costas. What's his name? Am I saying it right? Costas. Maybe I'm saying that wrong. You know, the guy that they kicked out of Congress?
Yeah.
Um, and he was like, no, vote on it. Do it.
Hmm.
I'm not going to resign, because he knows what all they've done. You know what I mean? Or he wanted them to, release the proof, not just have him on an ethics violation. And because he should just step down because the ethics committee had a report. He was like, no, put your name on it, um, because, I think so many of them are most likely dirty. We're seeing
I don't think any of them are clean. I don't think you can get past the state level without,
being involved in
compromise
something.
somewhere. Yeah. You got to
Oh,
kiss somebody's ring.
yeah,
You
and
can
then I
see it. Like Nikki
saw.
Haley, they're just pushing her down everyone's throat. Biden, nobody wanted him,
Mhm.
and they said, "Nope, this is what you got," and they just made it. That's what you got. And
He was the only choice, yeah.
he was like not even in the running. People were voting in primaries for other people. He was not ahead, and the DNC just said, "No, this is what you're gonna. This is it. This is what you got. You use this." Um, and they're doing that with Nikki Haley. It was obvious, like what two debates ago, and now I get freaking phone calls from her all the time, texts
Mm,
from her every day. I'm going. You send me some money. I'm about to go on stage. I'm going to do this, and it's just so blatant, that there's
mhm.
it's these two parties. It's really one party, but they're in complete control. Doesn't matter who you vote for. Doesn't matter who you want. Doesn't matter who's running. Doesn't matter grassroots. Blah blah blah. I think that's why they were so freaked out and pissed about Trump, because they just couldn't control it.
They couldn't control him.
It's too big. Yeah.
Well, that's where, like, I think grassroots does matter, because I think they're not sold out. And so there's this guy that, I do want to repeat Mr. Wolfang's
Did you see Vivek tear into her?
comment. No, I really don't watch
Oh,
them
it was
because I
amazing.
think they don't
He
exist
said,
in the world.
she wants to send your kids to war. She wants to send all this money to Ukraine, and she can't. He said he's like pointing at her. She can't tell you 5 provinces in Ukraine that we have to go and die for. He said, "Can you do that? Can you do that?" And she was like, he said, "Yep, that's the face. That's the face of someone who doesn't know five provinces in Ukraine, but she wants to send them bajillions of dollars." And then Chris Christie was like, "Hey, you're a mean guy. You shut up." And he was like, "Hey, you see Chris Christie? That's another guy who can't tell you 5 provinces in Ukraine. Go ahead, tell us 2. Come on." And it was just so awesome. He was just calling them out, and they were just standing there, just stunned.
Um, so one thing I want to share really quickly about, well, two things. First of all, them calling him out. I guess I'll stay on your track and then I'll go back to my original thought. We're old. I don't even know what to call him anymore. What do I even call him? He just disgusts me. The puppet that is Joe Biden told everyone flat out that he is a Zionist and that he promises a military support to Israel until they get rid of Hamas. But he straight up said, "I'm a Zionist."
Where is that a video?
Yeah, I watched it. Hold on. Let me see. He said to the world, blah, blah, blah. Hold on. Was it video or was it in this? Hold on. Wait. Yes, world's opinion shift overnight. I can't let that happen. It was as he hosted the Hanukkah event in the White House on Monday. Here we go. The warmth and connection I feel to the Jewish community is unquestionable, Biden said, adding, I ran into trouble and criticism when I said a few years ago that you don't have to be Jewish to be a Zionist, and I am a Zionist.
Wow. But then again, he could say, I'm a dump truck. Because he's, a lot of stuff has been coming out the past week. I don't know if you've seen it, but about them drugging him every day. It's like
I'm sure. That's the only thing that keeps
in the morning,
alive.
And they put him to sleep at night with some downer. There's people that are like coming out of the woodwork and starting to talk about it. That he wanders around the White House naked all the time.
Well, he used to do that when he had female Secret Service because he wanted them to have to look at him. So that's just because he's a pervert.
But he's also just doesn't know what the frick is going on, and he's and they're literally drugging him because he does seem sharp every now and then, but
that's when the different one plays him.
It's drugs.
Sometimes it's Dana Carvey, sometimes
they pump him up, and then he has like 30 to 45 minutes, and then once you get past a certain point, or in the evenings, if it's like something at night, that's very troublesome. That's when he's a lot kind of off because they pump him up in the morning, and then in the evenings is when he comes off and slows down. So he's gonna probably die. He's so old, and they're literally just like you said, he's a puppet, but the strings are drugs.
Yeah. Well, there's a huge drug problem in America, in the world, actually. And it's not what you think, people. But they're starting to see ads for it on Etsy, which is concerning to me. They were selling pizza for $4,000 a slice. That was concerning. Apparently, I have not been able to, when I go to click on the article to read it, then most of the time it's blocked or been removed. So everybody do your own research on that. Maybe they have identified that problem and taken that down, I hope. The other thing, back to when we were talking about when we opened up with the movie and all that, and Whitney Webb's back out, so she's going to start making the rounds again. You guys, I'm so excited. I love a little Whitney Webb, and she's truth bombing about the WEF, false flags. Gosh, that's hard to say. WEF, false flags, attacks possibly incoming, so to kind of prepare for that.
The World Economic Forum says that we will experience a massive cyber attack that will hit before the year 2025, which will lead to a massive collapse of the banking industry, infrastructure, and so much more. Well, how do they know this? It's unbelievable. Someone who's been following this very, very closely, and it ties even more directly into the story that we've been covering here on the show about the CTI leak files, the Michael Schellenberger released files about the cyber spying on Americans. We're going to get to that part of the story with independent journalist Whitney Webb, who I'm thrilled to welcome back to the show. Whitney, welcome back to Redacted.
Hey, it's great to be here after a long absence. Thanks for having me back.
Of course, we wouldn't miss the opportunity. So thrilled to have you back here. So let's talk about this World Economic Forum idea that at the second in command at the World Economic Forum that we are going to see a massive cyber
Remember,
attack
Nikki Haley's a WEFer
the year 2025. Pointing out,
I wanted to talk about
something that this is going to happen, so you better be prepared for it. Why are they saying this, and who are they going to try to point the finger at?
Right. So this was said at the WEF annual meeting earlier this year in January by the WEF managing director, Jeremy Jurgens. And Jurgens, as well as the WEF itself, has been involved in a series of simulations for several years now that I'm sure a lot of people in your audience are familiar with, called Cyber Polygon, which has been directly affiliated with Russia's government, as well as some of Russia's biggest banks and some of the biggest commercial banks in the world, and also backed by a lot of U.S. federal agencies, which is ironic when you consider, all about alleged Russian hacks over the years. They're very willing, under the guise of the WEF, to collaborate with the, supposed hackers responsible for everything bad, for several years ago. So that's quite revealing. But aside from cyber polygon, there's a lot that the WEF seeks to accomplish as it relates to the cyber realm. And they've been collaborating in a lot of ways with these same big banks and also American intelligence agencies in unprecedented ways that has not really gotten any coverage over the past several years. And a lot of this is housed within a public-private partnership the WEF manages called the World Economic Forum Partnership Against Cybercrime. And this particular organization, back a few years ago, gamed out with the Carnegie Endowment, along with the Federal Reserve, the Bank of England, the European Central Bank, so some of the biggest central banks in the world, as well as some of the biggest commercials in the world, like Bank of America and JP Morgan, how essentially the U.S. financial system was due to be the victim of a massive cyber attack. And if you're familiar with how things have been going in the U.S. financial or banking system recently, things are not in a very good state at all. And regardless of if there would be or will be a cyber attack in the near future, the banking and financial system in the United States is in deep doo-doo, right? So if you're the big banks and the intelligence agencies, you want to avoid what happened after the 2008 economic crisis, where there was unprecedented anger at Wall Street, because the whole hope and change Obama psyop essentially is probably not going to work again. So how do you allow that collapse to happen? Because it has to happen in such a way that the banks and the government are essentially blameless. Well, have a cyber attack happen, and you can literally blame any nation state or group for that hack. And we know this because of what WikiLeaks published right before Julian Assange was completely silenced and then later arrested and dragged out of the Ecuadorian embassy in London, Vault 7. Which revealed things like the Umbrage program, among other things, that U.S. intelligence and other intelligence agencies that are affiliated with this WEF partnership against cybercrime have the ability to place the fingerprints of any nation state actor they wish, including Russia, China, Iran, and really North Korea, any other group as well, not just nation states, put their fingerprints in a hack they actually commit themselves.
Okay, so it goes on, and we only have so much time, and there's more stuff I want to talk to you guys about, but remember that Nikki Haley was really pushing the whole, we all need the government ID and all that kind of stuff. And so all of this, if we have a cyber attack on the banks, and then you need your new wallet to be made whole, don't worry, FDIC is going to make you whole, but you have to download this wallet. FDIC will send you your CBDC bucks, and then but you have to, so most likely through her partnerships, like she said, Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, which all use Zelle. So my husband was just trying to pay a guy, and he didn't use what methods we usually use, and he would only use Zelle. And so my husband was having trouble logging in, whatever. And they were like, oh, well, you haven't used it in a while. He's like, well, actually, I use it once a month. And I won't get into that, but he said you had to turn off any VPN, you had to disconnect your Wi-Fi, and make sure you were using data only to log in. And that was the only way you could then use your Zelle, so that they could use that IP to track you.
Something odd that I just thought it was odd. It was very annoying. My VPN's not working.
Really?
For Google. Google bypasses it. It works. Like, I can go on and do a DuckDuckGo search and look at restaurants near me, and it's all Swedish restaurants. But as soon as I Google restaurants near me, it's little text down the road. And whenever in the website that I was trying to sign into, it's linked to Google. You can just use your Google ID, click one click, and you're in. It won't. It keeps saying, "Hey, you're in the United States. You can't access this. You're in the United States." And I went so far as to buy another VPN. It didn't work.
Really?
Things. I upgraded. It was Opera browser, which the free VPN always worked. I upgraded to the Pro version.
Right.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Google can cut right through any VPN. Since last night, me and Lee were working on it for like 2 hours.
Wow.
And I gave up, went to sleep like at 3 in the morning. So
That's wild.
it's just odd now that you're talking about that.
Well, and I wonder if that has to do with all that ISO 222, the messaging, the systems. Like, has the flip been switched? Has the pivot happened? Like, I know, for a while, the Roger app was allowing the military to receive they were getting their direct deposits 4 days early, which I don't understand how that works, but like either you get paid or you don't get paid. Like, I don't understand how it would, I mean, if it's sent, I could understand it processing early, but I don't understand how it would arrive early if it wasn't sent yet. But anyway, I digress. And so they now just recently released an announcement at our bank that that any normal person, citizens can now, civilians can now request a faster, to get if you're paid by direct deposit, you can now get your direct deposit 2 to 4 days early. So it seems like something's been flipped. I don't know. Just looking at the cards of what's going on in my world.
The thing I saw in your that dude that said in the podcast that kids were sexy and
Oh God, it was so disgusting. Yeah.
and yeah, that
I shared it in Telegram because I'm not going to put it even on here. It's just too
Like,
gross and
pedophiles
disgusting.
or he doesn't understand why it's.
And then he and his husband went and adopted 2 little boys.
How the hell did he adopt? Was he allowed to adopt a freaking kid?
I don't know.
Like, you can't get a
It
job.
must have been through like overseas or
10 years ago, but this
Yeah.
guy can literally say that. And
I can't imagine that was a U.S. adoption, and even then, it shouldn't be allowed to happen at all. I'm not
they
condemning
should have investigated.
but
So,
they should be investigated.
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, whatever agency it was should have done.
No, he said he
Search.
didn't understand why it was wrong for someone to look up little babies and then
Naked babies. Yeah.
do horrible things or do things to themselves while they were looking at pictures of babies. And I was like, you
Yeah.
sick.
And he's
sick
like, I did it. He
person."
admitted to looking up
Yeah.
CP. Yeah. He's like,
And
I just
sick.
wanted to know what it would be like to be.
Anyway, all of that's on Telegram if you guys want to. The links in the description so you can see the stories. And the rest of that Whitney Webb interview is on Telegram. You can get more information from that. But I did want to talk about my latest moment of enlightenment.
But one sec. But the thing I was going to say is, in looking at that, I saw that like one of the high people in the WEF, a doctor, literally said the statement of that it has to be allowed and that people need to be allowed to buy kids for
What?
for sex slaves. He said a WEF doctor said that. And I like, how does that not? Well, that's the end of that. I mean, it's like it doesn't make any sense to me why it's still like a thing.
I can't imagine. But
I don't know why the DNC is still here after the Bernie Sanders thing. I mean, I don't get it. I don't know why Hunter's still here. It just nothing.
I know why any of them. They're evil. They're straight evil. Let me see. This was what my next awakening was. My next red pill is meeting or getting introduced to and hopefully getting a chance to interview Mr. Stephen. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but no, how would I say that? Narayoff? Do you know how to say his last name? Gosh, I got to figure out. I got to go watch an interview or something. Narayoff? Okay, Stephen Narayoff. We're going to go with that. And I apologize if I am mispronouncing your name because I think he's brave and very passionate about calling out corruption. And I think it's pretty freaking incredible what he's doing.
And Vitalik Buterin?
Yep, not that guy. I don't care about that guy. But he recorded and has and he put it on an NFT, and it is free on Matic. Oh, maybe that's the Polygon. What was that cyber attack thing called? Polygon.
Oh, that what she said?
Yeah. Polygon something. Oh man. Well, he's already dropped it, but it is on Polygon or Matic, and it's free. And he literally has. And here's where this is the Ethereum. He's got it's their restructuring plan. He was brought in as an attorney to help restructure Ethereum. And he has these recorded interviews with Vitalik where he is like, you know what, you probably should fire some people. And then Joe Lubin gets involved, and there's just some bad stuff going on here. And so it's very interesting. I would recommend everybody go check it out. Follow Steven and see what he's looking at. He was just absolutely raked over the coals by the 3-letter agencies. He went to expose some of this and what was happening. And so then he was criminally charged by the DOJ after being told that the SEC had like 14 gigs of data on him or something, but they wouldn't be able to try him for like 3 years or something. It's insane what he went through. And then, so he's now, let's see. And then we talked about that the SEC got in trouble for the debt box thing. Okay, this is back to.
I sent you on Twitter the WEF professor says we need a mass movement to allow pedophiles to buy kids.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that anymore. I've already talked about it.
Yeah.
And you can get your channel shut down for talking about that. But
I'm going to talk about some stuff.
I really wanted to talk about this, and
Mhm.
I put that on Telegram so people can check it out and we can talk about it more on your channel. But let's see. This is so he alleged that the SEC, in collaboration with FBI and DOJ, fabricated a crime leading to his prosecution, and they went after him for like 3.5 years. He also said that they overstepped their jurisdiction by leading a criminal prosecution against him because SEC is a civil regulatory agency, yet it led and fabricated criminal prosecution against him. That's an interesting kind of thought.
But did they, or did the FBI or DOJ who would have?
Well, they led the prosecution and the investigation, and then I guess handed it to the DOJ.
Okay.
Is my understanding. But hopefully I get to interview him soon and find out more about it. But let's see. Because I think they were the ones that were investigating him and then said, oh, well, we're not going to do anything to you for 3 years. And so he didn't get to like face his accuser or go to trial, but like had, so it says, let's see, during my prosecution, which was led by the SEC, I was under extreme pressure to give information on leaders of the industry, despite having no reason to believe these people committed any crimes. The Ethereum insider elaborated on other SEC lie in his case. The SEC admits they have 14 gigs of data on me, despite supposedly not being involved in my case. So they said they weren't involved in his case, but that they had 14 gigs of data on him. And then they said he had to wait 3 years before they'll even begin to review his request for those records. So it's really interesting. I mean, he's really trying to call him out. He's currently working on fraud allegations against Ethereum founders, Vitalik Buterin and Lubin, following the release of that recording that I showed you guys. And it recorded Steven's significant role in the development of Ethereum. So I think that is all very brave. I also heard that he like gave back all his Ethereum when he found out there was some wrongdoing there, and it was like at a high point of it and all this. And so it's one of those things when you see people doing the right things and calling out corruption, like I have a lot of respect for that.
Yeah,
he put himself at a big risk to do that. So, and I appreciate you bringing up when I sent you the thing about the babies and the word that you're not allowed to say on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. And I do want to bring it up, but I want to get it out there in a way that, just like he put his in a NFT so that it can be on the blockchain and that people can know about it. Whoops, wrong one. That people can know about it. Where is the blockchain one that he had? Or the picture of the NFT. I thought I had it pulled up here. Yeah. So that he could, the way that these guys are now using, I guess I get excited about that. The way that now you're seeing blockchain being used by some of the good guys fighting back, I think it is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that movie that I watched at the beginning, that Jim knew the name of it.
Was the movie good?
It was pretty good. It was a little, for my husband, it was really slow because it's not big, bang them up, shoot them, fight. But I thought it was good. They talk about the cabal. They talk about the banking. They talk about like a lot of that kind of stuff. I also really just watched The Killer of the Flower Moon, which is about the Osage murders here in Oklahoma that were all around the oil industry. And that was really interesting because they involved, or the movie showed that it involved like, what are they called? The Freemason stuff and all that. And that was pretty interesting for them starting to make nods at that kind of stuff where it was never talked about before.
Yeah. Well, I think we're coming to a point now where if the president says, I'm a Zionist.
Yeah. Great point.
It's like sides are being taken,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And everyone will have a chance to take a side. So there's a lot of information that's shared, like I said, on my Patreon and on the free Telegram link in the description below if you guys are interested in following either of those. And that's more that the community also puts information. So you can join those. And you can always go over to Sean's channel and like and subscribe. And
which we should do now.
We should do that right now.
All right.
I'll be on Jean-Claude tonight. You guys, please join us. It's 7 p.m. my time. So I think that's 8 o'clock Eastern with Snippy. And we will be talking about all this. And I meant to mention the Treasury, but I'll talk about that over on Jean-Claude's channel or with Sean.
And remember to like and subscribe over here before you jump over to my channel and jump over to my channel. Love y'all. See you there.
All right. See you guys there.